All right, welcome back to Thctrust.org. To get there, go to Thctrust.org, and when the website comes up, you can create an account to follow along with these videos. The video that we're talking about today, we're continuing on where we just left off in the last video. You have to have this $32 per month subscription, and you'll get access to all my reference material, which is basically it underlies what I'm talking about. So anyway, we're going to log in, and we're going to go under the advanced topics. We're going to go to mortgages, and I will start this video. We said we're going to go into this non-judicial process that I talk about, that I state is different from what the majority of everyone else is doing from what I hear. First, I want to look at this real quick. Well, we're not supposed to go there yet. Actually, so first, I want to work our way backwards so this doesn't get boring. I want to be clear on, well, let's first ask the question, what is a discharge? What does a discharge look like? I learned the answer to this question in California because somebody asked me, and I was already working on discharging a mortgage, trying all of these different methods. And then somebody asked me, well, how do you know if a mortgage is discharged? And I don't remember what my answer was, but I know I didn't really know the answer. And I ask you out there watching this video, how do you know if your mortgage has been discharged? Right? I guess if the bank sends a release of security interest or a cancellation, or whoever's sending you the bill every month, if they send that to the county, I assume that would be one way to know. But the answer to the question, at least the way that I understand it now, is, and think about what I'm going to say. Some people's going to understand this. Some people won't, just because they don't have familiarity with, the mortgage and real estate industry. But it's basically when the property can clear title. What that means is when you can run a title report on the property, and the title company says, yes, we can insure the title. We can insure the transfer of the title because we don't see any encumbrances on the title. That's what that is. So the real way, if you really want to know, and unfortunately, usually those cost like maybe $400 for a title examination report, and it may cost more or less. But there's people in the real estate agency, if you know somebody, they can get them for you. Sometimes they can get preliminary title reports, which is just as good. It's just the report that you can run on the title of a property. And this is another thing you may learn, that different methods of filing all types of different records and things tend to cloud your own title. So say if you had some goal at some point of selling the property through a traditional type of means or something, you will probably, it'll be difficult because you still have to clear title, and then they start talking about your agricultural lien and all of these things. They say these are encumbrances on the title, and we need a quiet title action, or we need those. And that's the other thing. When you run a title exam, they're going to tell you exactly what they need to see in order to clear title. Now, you may want to encumber your property. You may not want to encumber your property. I'm just stating something so now that you can be aware of this as you develop your procedure or whatever. So the point that I was making is that one sure way to know whether a property is discharged, I would say, or not even say discharged. We're talking in the same arena, but is the title free and clear? Can I transfer this property? Can I have a real estate agent sell it? And if a title company puts their stamp on it after they run the title examination that it's good, they're basically saying that they will insure the title. You know what I'm saying? So that means you can sell it. That means it's free and clear. So ideally, this is where the position where I would want to be in, right? I'm thinking and I'm working my way backwards. So one thing I know, if there's a mortgage on the property and the mortgage hasn't been satisfied, or there's no satisfaction instrument in the record. See, the title company's not calling all the parties. The title company's looking at the public record. That's what they're using to make the determination. It's a title exam. It's just like you have somebody running, they're researching, pulling all the liens, deeds, and they're just looking, it's a researcher. That's all it is. So what happens? What does a title company look for in order to state that, okay, the property is free and clear? They want to see that liens are removed, encumbrances, mortgages have been satisfied, settled, or discharged. Keep that in mind. Now, I'm going to read here on our page. My research indicates that the best approach for discharging a mortgage is to record a bond against the deed. All right. Here's the statute in part that led me to this conclusion. So then we go to California Civil Code 2941.7. And what this is basically, it's the procedure, it's the general public procedure for recording a bond against a security deed or mortgage to discharge the debt, right? But this is what put the other piece of the puzzle together for me. So I'm not suggesting that this is the authority, unless you know how to enforce statutory codes and you can make this an authority. But I am suggesting that this is proof that you can record a bond or a surety bond against a deed of trust or mortgage to discharge that deed. Now, let me read through this. Whenever the obligation secured by a mortgage or deed of trust has been fully satisfied and the present mortgagee or beneficiary of record cannot be located after a diligent search, or, which may be in our case, refuses to execute and deliver a proper certificate or discharge or request for reconveyance, or whenever a specified balance including the principal and interest remains due and the mortgagor or trustor and mortgagors or trustor's successor and interest cannot, after a diligent search, locate the then mortgagee or beneficiary of record, the lien of any mortgage or deed of trust shall be released when the mortgagor or trustor or the mortgagor's trustor, successor, and interest records or causes to be recorded in the office of the county recorder of the county in which the encumbered property is located a corporate bond accompanied by a declaration as specified in subdivision B, and with respect to a deed of trust as to reconveyance, etc., etc. So they're basically telling you that a corporate bond can be recorded by the mortgagor or caused to be recorded by the mortgagor or his successor, and that corporate bond will cause the release of the lien of the mortgage, so that it will cause the discharging of the instrument. The lien would be done. So that's why I say the bond to discharge the mortgage. Now, I know people say, oh, well, there's, it says a corporate bond. Okay. So this is why from here we have to get into the study. And when I say we have to get into the study, really you have to get into the study if you're trying to execute a bond to discharge your mortgage into the Code of Federal Regulations, and just do your research on bonds. There is, and I probably will cite it under this video. If I don't cite it in this video, I will cite it in the next video. When I talk about this, I'll go pull the code. But there is regulations under the CFR that basically say wherever a surety bond is required, or a bond with corporate sureties, which this corporate bond is, that one may submit an affidavit of individual sureties. Now we're getting to the GSA, right? So there's other things that you have to look into, but this shows you that a bond can be used. They say only a corporate bond, but there's other regulations that say whenever they say only a corporate bond, you can use an affidavit of individual surety. And then on top of that, there are other regulations that say that you can pledge eligible obligations or eligible collateral instead of even individual surety, right? So what I'm stating is there's different angles and layers to this, and when you develop your administrative procedure, you have to do your own research. And then I'm going to take it one more level. This particular bond that we prepared that never did get recorded, we didn't really end up doing anything with it. We got the medallion stamp on this bond. And if you look closely, you see this says JP Morgan Chase, right? So it dawned on me one day, a corporate bond, actually this, basically my understanding is a corporate bond in California, and every state does it different. They have what's called a list of guarantors. It's some type of list of pre-approved guarantors that have to be approved by the state. And those are the corporate guarantors, and they say that in order to be surety on the bond, it has to be one of the corporate guarantors. Well, I found out that every guarantor on the medallion stamp signature guarantee is listed on that list, right? So when you get the signature guarantee, there's two types of endorsements that they can give. One of the endorsements, how can I say it, insures the instrument. So they become a surety on the bond if they insure the instrument, right? That's a corporate guarantor. Anyways, I feel like I'm rambling on because I'm not suggesting that you create any type of bond like that. I'm suggesting that you research and research and come to your own determination of whether you're going to use GSA forms, whether you're going to look at pledging some other type of collateral such as a gold bond. That's something that I will probably do a little short video and talk about my research on that subject. But from my understanding, the best approach is to have some type of bond. And now to take it another step further, I don't like to go too long with these videos. I'm already going on. Ultimately, where are we at? This is what your discharge of mortgage looks like. You see this here? Zooming out here. This is just a deed. There's a mortgage deed, a warranty deed, quitclaim deed. They all have different forms. But when this particular deed is received at the county, it causes the clerk to make an entry in the margin of the original deed for which it references. And that margin entry represents the discharge of the obligation, right? And it gets recorded and dated and time stamped and all of these things. And the title company, when they see this instrument in there, it represents to them that there's no liens and encumbrances on the property. Now the property can be transferred, it can be sold, it can be, whatever, right? Because it's free and clear. It means the title company will insure it. So ultimately, this is what needs to be recorded on the record to discharge your mortgage. And this is just general, to understand specifically what's needed. You have to do research into how they do the business in your county. So then, one may ask themselves, especially if you're new to this field of study, well, why can I do this? Why they have to do this? I can't. Can I do this? You may think in some of those terms, and I understand. But trust me, there's someone else out there watching this that's saying, oh, snap, I get it. Because they already perfected their administrative procedure and they are confident enough to rely on their consent judgment, right? And then you got some people that's somewhere in between, and they're like, I get it, but man, I don't know if if I have established enough evidence and support to be able to just go record that instrument, right? And that's where we're at with this game right now. So, more importantly, and let's go ahead, let's go through this other document here. I'm going to go through this document. So we're going to talk about that. What we're doing here is we're going to work our way backwards, right? We're going to work our way backwards to being able to record that document in the county.